He's never fought us. Not us united.
My favorite moment in the entire... Maybe I should complicate this before I start speaking here.
Welcome to Under Two Capes, and Lad is back!
Hello,
What's up,
everyone.
dude?
It's nice to see everyone again.
For those of you that don't know, Lad is the original co-host for Anything Comics League.
Yes, way back in the good old days, you know, during the fun times.
To be clear, he's still a co-host. He's just swamped with school, so he's still a co-host.
I'm guest starring, but hopefully, you know, I'll be back for real soon.
Yeah. So Lad actually has the topic to this week. Lad, do you want to introduce to the audience what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man, specifically Spider-Man new trilogy rumors and leaks, and we're just going to talk about where Tom Holland can take the character next, what type of storylines we want to see moving forward, just everything like that.
All right. So what's the first rumor that you want to talk about?
So the first thing we want to talk about is just the new trilogy that, like, obviously with Tobey Maguire, you know, attempts to make a fourth movie, and then that failed and they rebooted, and then, you know, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was supposed to start this whole cinematic universe with the Sinister Six and the villains and have multiple Andrew Garfield films, but then that failed also. They've really struck gold this time with Tom Holland. You know, his trilogy was a success. He fits in with the MCU nicely, and his third movie made almost $2 billion and brought all the versions of Spider-Man together and united the fan base. Mm-hmm. And it also initiated a soft reboot where they can really take Tom Holland's Spider-Man in any direction now. They can just have a fresh start, fresh, clean slate, and just build off from there. So we're just, I don't know, we're just going to talk. What do you think, Jared? What do you think that they could do for the new trilogy? Because I think the plan is not just one movie, but they actually want to do like a full trilogy. They're like, this is successful. We can plan for a
Yeah, well, okay. So there are many different ways that they can go with Spider-Man, because Lord knows there's like been thousands of Spider-Man books. But I think honestly this would be a good time to introduce Gwen Stacy, because they kind of changed it and made like MJ the first Spider-Man relationship. So I think that this would be a good time for them to introduce Gwen Stacy as opposed to MJ, and maybe not kill her, because the Green Goblin doesn't exist in this universe.
Yeah, I don't think we can handle that much break again, honestly.
And I don't think they're going to do Miles Warren cloning and having sex with thousands of Gwen Stacy clones. I don't think the MCU is going to go in that direction.
If, what's it called? If this is a big topic, actually, that will they bring back MJ and Ned, at least for Spider-Man 4? For the first upcoming movie, will they bring back MJ and Ned? Because I've seen a lot of people talk about that they may be left out of it. You know, he may want to protect them, keep them safe, and actually lets them bring in new characters like Black Cat is a name people throwing around.
Oh, yes.
You know, obviously maybe bringing some version of Gwen or some other thing else like that.
I would say, yeah, this would be a good opportunity to like bring in new characters, because those were his high school characters. It'd be a good way to like signal the transition from high school to college at this point. Mm-hmm. That's what I think he should do, really.
Yeah, I think they can really they can bring in there's a lot of characters, supporting characters for the Spider-Man. They can really grow it a lot. And, you know, if they leave them out of Spider-Man 4, they can really bring back MJ and Ned, and it'll have that dramatic effect like in, you know, a future Spider-Man film, you know, that they remember, or Ned becomes Hobgoblin. I don't know if that will happen.
I'm not sure they're going to go that direction.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people have been rumoring about it, but we'll have to see if they decide to do that.
Well, honestly, I would love to see like Black Cat, the vegan animal rights, Kraven the Hunter. That's fantastic. I would love to see him in the MCU. I can't believe that. By the way, I can't believe real quick that that's actually a thing. Vegan animal rights, Kraven the Hunter.
He's an animal lover now, not an animal hunter.
But his whole thing is he's a hunter, so I don't know what they're doing. But they could bring in the lizard.
The lizard, they could do something like that. I wonder if they can they use villains that they've already used? Like, obviously everyone we saw in No Way Home, will we see MCU versions of those characters, or are they going to try to leave them untouched for now?
I would say for right now, leave them untouched.
Mm-hmm.
Leave them untouched, because you don't want it to be like conflicting with those versions, because technically those were the MCU versions of those characters.
That's true. Yeah.
But what I could see, this would be a good opportunity for them to give like movies to villains that haven't been in movies. I don't think they're going to do Miles Warren, because there's way too much baggage with that guy. Way too. There's no reason to do that one. I think that they could do Hobgoblin, like maybe like the memories start to come back, but it drives him crazy and he becomes Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
I could see them. Honestly, I could see Felicia Hardy showing up and like being like not really a villain, but maybe an it's sort of an antagonist for like a movie, but she later turns good. And maybe we could honestly see. Honestly, I could probably see. I wish they could use Venom, but they kind of can't.
Yeah.
I mean, there was some symbiote goo left behind.
Right. The people are wondering if maybe they'll do something tied into Secret Wars, Venom, something like that. They could do something, really classic comic book like.
That's how Holland gets the black suit, in other words.
Yeah, they could do that, tied in the Venom symbiote left behind into the Secret Wars movie, that he gets the black suit there, and then maybe like, a future movie uses it.
That could work.
My question is, we know that Peter was in his senior year at the end of No Way Home, and then he has to take his GED exam to basically test out of high school and apply to colleges, right?
Mm-hmm.
I assume we're gonna see Peter Parker, college age student, and that sets the stage for some really good, I think, films. Like a really good setting for Spider-Man, because we've never really seen it too much in the films. Like, I know Tobey Maguire, he graduated, right?
I think so. Yeah, he graduated at least high school, I think.
And he graduated high school, but I don't think they ever really showed him do too much else after that.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be really great to see this whole trilogy set during his college years, because for those of you that actually read the Spider-Man comic books, Peter's not normally a high schooler. Like, he was only a high schooler for like 3 years in the original comic book back in the 60s. Like, I'm pretty sure issue 18 or issue like 30, like issue 28 or something, he graduates high school, and right now they're on issue 900 of the Amazing Spider-Man series. So Peter's been out of high school for a long time, I would say now.
But you know why they put him in high school in the MCU? Because what universe is the MCU primarily based on?
The Ultimate Universe.
Yeah, exactly. And Ultimate did gangbusters.
Yep.
So that's probably why. But honestly, yeah, I'm fine with having adult Peter Parker, because let me put it this way. They could... because the whole thing about like Marvel wanting to keep young Peter is why we got such horrible storylines as him trading his marriage to a demon, which he definitely would never do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you have Miles. Use him. By the way, that's a character that maybe they could throw in there, Miles Morales.
Yeah, that's another one that I have a feeling they are going to seed in as a secondary character at some point during this trilogy, because obviously they're gonna want to make maybe Miles the next Spider-Man after this, and I think everyone would be really excited for that.
Yeah, it's like Tom Holland retires or dies. They could do like the whole Ultimate thing where he dies, and then you get Miles Morales being Spider-Man.
Yeah, definitely, they could do that, and that, or retire, or do something along that lines, and they could always bring back Tom Holland sometime in the future if they did something like that.
Yeah, 100%.
So I wonder, like, something maybe we can go into some of the storylines that would really work well for Peter, because now they're going into the college age. There's so many storylines set while he was in college, and even right now in the comics, I think he's like 25 or maybe even like 28 or so. Like
I think so.
he's a young adult out of college, and he's like working and jobs, or sometimes he's a scientist, and he's a bit more mature. And I think a lot of people would really enjoy seeing that, like a slightly older Spider-Man. It'd be a fresh take because we've already had 3 Spider-Man basically in high school now.
Like maybe it can bring in Horizon Labs and have him intern and then work for Horizon Labs, like in the Dan Slott run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be really great. That's something I really want to see is Horizon Laboratories in this run. Bring in,
and maybe please bring in the Ends of the Earth spider suit just once, just once.
Oh, dude, yes. I mean, there's a lot of good storylines from that era that they can definitely adapt into it. I really would have wanted.
Say what you want about Dan Slott, but he knew how to write Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man had some really great during that run. I would have loved to see like Kraven's Last Hunt would have been amazing, but we're not going to get that probably due to
because of Sony's stupidity.
I feel like that's going to have to be a whole other subject. Is how will Sony's Spider-Less universe affect the new Tom Holland trilogy?
Just have Miles have a Spider-Man in your universe.
I know, yeah.
Or Spider-Gwen.
There's
no reason for them to change all these things for all these characters. It's really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to what we were saying, honestly, I could see now if since the symbiotes already in the MCU, they could do a version of the black suit, like speed it up, kind of like they did in Spider-Man 3, but don't introduce 2 other villains in the movie.
Right.
Like make it just the MCU version of Venom or the Ultimate version of Venom, because for those of you that don't know, the Ultimate version of Venom wasn't an alien. It was a anti-cancer suit that went crazy.
Oh, I didn't know that part of it.
Yeah, it wasn't an alien. It was a suit that Eddie Brock and Peter Parker's fathers were collaborating on, and it didn't work ever. And then it got out and got on Peter, and then it just went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a storyline they can do, and maybe they can use that to introduce Null.
That'd be really cool.
A King in Black movie that's like 5 hours long because every character has to have like a tie-in, in other words, to the event.
Yeah.
But another storyline that I think that they could pull off, maybe on a small scale, is Spider Island.
Spider Island, yeah.
Although technically they can't use all the characters because Captain America is dead.
Right, yeah.
But they could kind of maybe sort of change that kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I could see also they do a cameo from Carly Cooper.
Oh, yeah, they could do that. I could see that.
And I swear, Dan Slott has to make a cameo in the show, in the movie or show. Somehow they have to get Dan Slott in there. That'd be great.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible we see past Holland villains in these movies? Like, I'm thinking Vulture, Scorpion, Mysterio. Like, do you think it's possible we see these characters, or are they pretty much off the table based
Scorpion,
on...
I could see. Mm-hmm. Vulture, maybe not, because he's in the Morbius universe because of that post-credit scene that makes no sense.
Yeah, he's vaulting and with Morbius.
It's vaulting time.
It's vaulting time, yeah.
But yeah, I could see like those throwaway Spider-Man villains from Homecoming, but this time they make them actually good, like Shocker, the new Shocker. They actually give them the suit. They give Scorpion the Scorpion tail or something like that. Mm-hmm. In other words, improve and make these characters not just throwaway characters.
Right. I'm trying to, what's the tough part is like trying to brainstorm like where they could take the next trilogy. Is they've used the like 6 most popular villains so far. Obviously everyone that showed up in No Way Home plus Venom are like the 6 most like probably popular ones currently.
Kingpin exists in this universe.
I was thinking just that, dude. I was thinking about Kingpin.
Kingpin exists. Hawkeye brought him into the universe.
Kingpin would be such a great villain, right?
Like, could be the overarching villain of the entire trilogy. Like, he's behind everything.
I could really see something like that. That could really work because Kingpin works when he's not the first guy you're battling. Obviously, Goblin is someone where you want to battle him multiple times until you get to that final battle. But Kingpin is someone hiding in the shadows. He's puppet mastering everything else that's going.
Yeah, that's going on. And Lad froze. But what you can also do is you can use Kingpin, if you can hear me, Lad, as kind of a way to get like Felicia Hardy in there, because what Felicia could do is she could like be sent to like to give intel to Kingpin from Spider-Man. And what were you saying? You froze earlier.
Yeah, I got cut off. I was frozen, but I was saying that, you know, they can introduce smaller villains throughout and kind of use Kingpin as the tying thread that, you know, he's running some criminal empire in New York City, and he's really directing these villains do things, and they can obviously use Vincent to play this character because, you know, his Kingpin is iconic, and I would love to see, you know, have Spider-Man team up with Daredevil at some point in his trilogy.
Exactly. I was gonna say Daredevil, or even the Punisher shows up.
Yeah.
What if the MCU Punisher first appearance is against Spider-Man? Because we all know that Punisher first showed up in a Spider-Man comic.
That's true. Yeah, I would really love Kingpin as a movie, at least a single movie, or maybe some sort of overarching villain, because Peter's, like, I'm thinking of all his movies lately, they're always against like one guy who has really power, like has a lot of power. We're thinking like Green Goblin, the first movie, it's just him that is a threat, or Doc Ock, or, you know, Venom, or even the Lizard. Like, these are all characters that are working on their own usually, not like with a group of people. Maybe Mysterio had his own gang to go along with him, but I see like a criminal empire like Kingpin where he has multiple minor villains working for him, or thugs, or like Felicia Hardy, like maybe she switches sides or something like that, or Silver Sable. Like, these are characters that'd be really great to see, like Spider-Man versus like a group, an organization, versus just a single villain.
Yeah, they all are members of like the inner circle. But I would have said more Lund, but we kind of already did a Spider-Verse like story, so you can't kind of do that again.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that, you know, the animated Into the Spider-Verse movies may introduce Morlun at some point, because I don't know, it seems like they may go that direction.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
But what other characters do you think should show up in like one of these movies? Obviously, we said like Daredevil, Black Cat. I said Punisher. What maybe like Kate, or like maybe like Ms. Marvel. Just brief little cameos.
Yeah, I think those characters could work really well for Peter. I think it'd be really important to establish characters that can grow with Peter, like college friends, because right now Peter doesn't have anyone, and I feel like they, you know, obviously Aunt May and Uncle Ben are presumably gone for good, and he doesn't have any friends at the moment. They're all gone. So I feel like it's important to regrow Spider-Man's like maybe a small circle, like maybe people that don't know he's Spider-Man, but like some college friends of his that are, they could be someone important, like I'm trying to think about a few names that are
Gwen Stacy.
Like Gwen Stacy,
Harry Osborn. We haven't had a Harry Osborn.
Yeah, they could introduce a version of Harry Osborn for this. I'm trying to think about some other characters that would work well, maybe some different way, but
maybe if they bring in Horizon Labs, they can bring in the people from that story, from that arc.
Yeah, they could. I could see them do that. I could see them.
Yeah, in other words, there's a lot. The good thing about the limited approach that they've taken so far with Spider-Man is that they have a lot more to play with now and they would have if they had just thrown everything in there.
Right.
And I think what I really hope they do is stop bringing up Iron Man.
Yeah, I think it'd be okay to leave him behind now.
Because he's dead, and Spider-Man just got his own suit. He's shaken off the many Tony Stark thing. So I'm like, please, thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that'd be better for everyone if they did that.
Yeah, and so I honestly, it would be kind of maybe they can also sprinkle in a few more mutants, or he meets Johnny Storm because they're best friends.
Yeah, they could do that. That could work. That could work.
Let's see, or maybe this is one of the movies where Wade shows up as in Deadpool. And life froze. Yeah, but it's like, because for those that don't know, there's precedence in the comics that Wade and Spider-Man are actually best friends. So it'd be really funny to see those two interact, particularly that version of Spider-Man with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I would love to see something like that. I mean, they could. I mean, with obviously teaming up Spider-Man with Deadpool would be fantastic. We know we're getting Fantastic Four soon, so they could do some sort of, they could cameo at some point. Maybe he gets a Future Foundation suit.
Elektra,
that's a good one.
They can also. I agree that I would like to see maybe Silver Sable show up, but they would have to explain where the hell her private her PMC company was this whole time, because or they just take it so she has a smaller security company, or she's just the head of a nation, because there's not a lot of. Because the problem with these characters that own these large organizations is that then you have to explain, where were you during the snap, or when Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, why didn't you come and help when we needed you at that point?
Yeah, exactly. And they haven't really given any indication that Sable's organization exists at all. So
right.
So it'd be kind of sudden. That's why I think that they should keep it small scale, which is why I would say Felicia Hardy, Gwen Stacy. What would be interesting is if they kind of just have Gwen be another Spider person. In other words, kind of do away with the Spider-Verse, but have her still be Spider-Gwen.
I could see something like that.
They could already establish that Gwen and Miles have spider powers. That way it's kind of like you have with the No Way Home, where Peter has more people like him, but now it's they're not going to leave.
Right. I could definitely see them doing something like that.
What else?
Now,
what do you want to see more of?
To see more of, I mean, one thing I felt that was missing from this trilogy was really seeing New York City. Obviously, they wanted to make it this Tom Holland's Homecoming trilogy distinct from the other one. So they spent a lot of time away from New York. We didn't get a lot of swinging through New York City, seeing the people in the city as much. Homecoming was more of him at school and exploring, going on his school adventures. And then Far From Home was a whole European trip, right? And then finally No Way Home, we actually get back to New York City and get to see a little bit of that, like the Statue of Liberty and a few other locations. But I really want to see them go to the classic Spider-Man movie formula and really set it in New York City, really show us those swinging through the tall buildings, because that was something I felt we missed in this recent trilogy.
Yeah, definitely, because New York City is on its own a character in the Spider-Man comics. The people are just as much the characters as Peter Parker or Gwen Stacy or what have you. So it does. I mean, they kind of had that in the closest they got to that was Homecoming,
right?
Where he's because a lot of it is him hanging out in New York, getting sandwiches and helping people in New York. Stan Lee doing his cameo, but I feel like this is the good opportunity to do more than just one movie of him in New York.
Yeah.
Because and also the third movie was just him trying to evade people in New York. So yeah, just him embracing that he's Spider-Man.
Right. I could see them do something like that.
And obviously bring in more J. Jonah Jameson. I would love that because that is fantastic. If J.K. Simmons wants to keep doing it, please keep doing that.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
But so what do you think, like, what do you think the odds are that we do get like a truncated version of the Black Suit Saga?
Man, I really wish we could. I mean, not being able to use Venom is, I feel like, really gonna hurt Spider-Man movies in the future. Like, I hope, them leaving the Venom symbiote there really is a sign that they're considering doing a Venom storyline in the future, because Venom is such an iconic character, and a lot of people feel like he was wasted in Spider-Man 3. So I really hope we can get some sort of spider suit.
Yeah, because the symbiote like saga is like one of the most iconic sagas ever to come with Spider-Man. So I really feel like at this point they just need to do it. It's like it's the best option, I think. I mean, see, the problem with is I wish they had kept Eddie Brock in the universe, because if you've seen like Let There Be Carnage, there's no reason for him to be in that universe anymore.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that way they can actually do the Spider-Man Venom team up, and they teased it in the post credit for Let There Be Carnage. So there's like, that's the biggest waste of a post credit scene ever, yeah. I think, besides the one from Morbius.
Yeah, that really hurt when they did that.
Yeah, but I mean, they have the options. I mean, what we're really saying is that there's many different options, ways that they can go with this, and what's interesting is that we'll see what's established with like the animated series, because actually we haven't talked about the animated series yet.
That's a good. I think we could transition into that a little bit.
Yeah, hang on. I just need to put the things on here, and there you go. So the animated. So for those that don't know, they're making an animated. I think it's an animated prequel, right?
Prequel, kind of. So the series, as everyone knows, is called Spider-Man Freshman Year, and it was originally teased as, what does Peter Parker do once he, right after before and after Civil War, when he gets his powers and then he gets his first suit and is saving the city, like what, kind of like his origin story we never got. Well, the pictures and images started to come out of what the series is like, and it's a lot different from what we expected. It looks like they're going to do like an alternate universe, or kind of like, it's in the multiverse, like what if situation, because in this animated series, from what we've seen in the promotional images, it's not going to really work with MCU exactly. It's going to take a lot of inspiration from it, like Peter Parker's, a young kid, and then in this one, it actually looks like Norman Osborn recruits him instead of, there we go. There we got some of the images. We saw, I mean, the art style is beautiful. I mean, from what we've seen.
Great. I love it.
They shown us a cast of villains. Obviously, here we see characters like Doc Ock and Scorpion, and I believe
they look classic.
Yeah, classic. They're really drawn from the classics here, and we see Daredevil. They're not going to do the end. It's not going to be a prequel exactly. It's going to be kind of like a Spider-Man's origin, like a what if MCU, but they have all the villain characters to use, and they can just, there's the image I think over there with recreating.
Yeah, because right here it's pretty much that Civil War scene, but with Norman Osborn. Yeah, right there.
So it looks like they may do something where Norman Osborn is some wealthy person that wants to recruit Spider-Man for he knows he's Spider-Man, and Peter doesn't know that Goblin is pretty evil dude, and that'll probably be some sort of plot twist or betrayal at some point. But it looks like they're really going to go and show like a young Peter Parker, like in an MCU-ish universe. It's not going to be strictly canon with it, because we see a lot of the villains here, and Norman.
Isn't that the Future Foundation suit?
That's right. That's Future Foundation.
So the Fantastic Four exists in the show then?
Yeah, I guess it's going to have to. That looks... I'm not 100% that like an anti-Venom suit, but I think it is.
Oh, it could be anti-Venom.
It could
because
be
I remember he had a white suit for
Yeah.
the. I think the Future Foundation still had a 4 on it.
Yeah, I'm not 100 sure. It's either the Anti-Venom or Future Foundation, but they shown a lot of characters like Doctor Strange, Daredevil, and other ones, and that series is gonna be really nice because I think it's gonna show us like an origin for Peter in MCU like universe, and they're gonna bring back a lot of voice actors like Charlie Cox and others.
It is that suit.
Yes, it is. It is the Future Foundation. So they may, obviously going to tie in Fantastic Four into this series in one way or another.
They're gonna have to, because it's not gonna make sense if like this suit exists but the Fantastic Four don't.
Mm-hmm. And I think the art style in this series is going to look super nice.
It looks really good. It works for a Spider-Man show.
I mean, it looks like it's straight out of a comic book. These characters that they've drawn here. It's a really incredible art style, and I think that's gonna be really fun. So that'll bring on Disney Plus. I forget when they said, but I think it's like probably 2024. I'm imagining. I don't think it's gonna be next year.
Yeah, so it says here Spider-Man Freshman Year will remain canon because of the multiverse. So it's another story in the multiverse.
Yeah. So basically, the multiverse lets them do, something that's MCU-ish, but it's not strictly with the canon. It's adjacent. So it's not just completely out of left field. Which is
fine because they did What If, and I felt that was really great.
Yeah, What If works really well in that context. So I think Freshman Year is gonna be really nice. But there's I'm not sure if you've seen this go around, but there's some about that animated series actually, because
there's some stuff about what? I'm sorry, you kind of cut out.
Yeah, there's concern about the Freshman Year animated series because
in terms of what?
They announced that Freshman Year was coming out, but then they also announced that they're doing a second season called Sophomore Year, kind of like second season of the show or a sequel season.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of people that worked on Freshman Year have said they gotten fired. And when they were expecting to be working on the sequel series, Sophomore Year, mm-hmm. They were expecting these artists were expecting to work on Sophomore Year, and people were looking forward to that storyline continuing. And then we're seeing a couple of people write, artists on Twitter saying they got fired from doing that. So
oh no,
I'm not sure if that means that they're just want to bring in a new team for Sophomore Year, or if there's some production troubles going on with this.
It could be that Disney probably wants to see how season 1 goes, because right now they're more strapped for money than they were back when they authorized this. So what they're probably doing is saying, let's see how season 1 works. If it works, we'll do more of it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually just saw today that Bob Chapek, the CEO or whatever, head of Disney, is like set out some sort of internal memo that they're gonna put like some sort of like hiring freeze, or that basically they're gonna have to do like budget cuts,
mass layoffs, bro, mass layoffs.
So that could be bad for Disney employees, but also Disney media. So maybe I wonder if Marvel will get affected by that. I wonder if it's tied to what's happened with Sophomore Year. I have to assume that Spider-Man is like a money machine. I wouldn't think they would mess around with Spider-Man. So hopefully they get taken care of.
True. Spider-Man is really Marvel's version of Batman in terms of like how much of their sales revolve around him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's that joke on the DC side that if DC ever stopped publishing Batman, all the comic book shops were shut down.
Right. Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Spider-Man. It's why you have so many Spider-Man books that are basically the same thing, only a different adjective in the title.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least make it different. Jeez.
I know. Yeah.
It'd be hilarious if like, instead of doing like Freshman Year, Sophomore Year, they had astonishing, amazing, stupendous. Every season's a different adjective.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I did like how they kind of did that for the Spider-Man in terms of like the hot toys. They have like the amazing Spider-Man, and then the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like how they do that.
Something I want to discuss a little bit is like a storyline potential, but just something that I'm concerned if we could ever see. Obviously, one of Spider-Man's greatest assets is his rogues gallery. His villains are some of the most notorious out there, and my concern is not getting to see some of those key players in the MCU proper, like some of his own version of Doc Ock or Green Goblin. And it's okay that they've already appeared in his third movie. I can accept that. But what I really want to see is Spider-Man versus a group of villains, like
the Sinister Six,
like the Sinister Six, or just up against multiple villains. And obviously, like, a movie should focus on, introducing a new villain, but at some point I would like to see multiple of his villains team up and try to battle against him. And maybe Spidey has to team up with his own pals. But what they did with this first trilogy is Vulture is now in the Morbius universe, so he's gone. He's not coming back.
Morbin time.
It's useless there. Mysterio's dead. I still think that he could actually be alive, but I feel like that ship may have sailed. It would have been cool to see him in No Way Home, but it seems like Mysterio's dead. And then Spider-Man No Way Home was just a team up of all the past villain movie characters that aren't even Tom Holland. So right now, Tom Holland doesn't have a rogues gallery. They're gonna have to rebuild from scratch. But accepting that, I'd really like them to introduce a couple of villain characters in these films that by his third movie, like the end of the trilogy, it could actually be like a Sinister Six or just some sort of like group of villains that are trying to hunt him down and really, really get him,
It was Mephisto all along.
Yeah, it was. Oh, dude, I'm trying to see.
Can you imagine if they do that storyline? Oh gosh.
I really hope they don't. I found it. So, because we've covered it on the podcast before, but one of my favorite storylines is Spider-Man Ends of the Earth. Really great storyline from Dan Slott and from Ramos, and there we go. And I think
I'm getting it.
And I think I'm not the only one with a copy of it. Yeah, so we both got a copy because it's really great.
It's awesome.
And for those of you, I'll just give a quick recap for those of you that are uninitiated, because that's our job here on Comics League, is to initiate the uninitiated.
That's right.
This is a storyline for Peter Parker here, shortly before the Superior Spider-Man storyline. And in this, Peter Parker is really upping his game. He's really fighting against. He's trying to excel. Like, he doesn't want to get people hurt. He's trying to take Spider-Man really seriously, building lots of gadgets, and he's actually leading the Avengers on certain missions. And you also see Doc Ock escalate his antics. Like, he has the Sinister Six really serious this time, and Doc has a plan to basically save the Earth through some sort of global biosphere to really save global warming and environmental crises. And so it seems like a really great thing. Like, the United Nations wants to go along with his plan to save the Earth, but Peter doesn't believe him that he's turned good. And we find out that Doc is, of course, lying and wants to actually destroy the entire Earth, basically. And it really is a great storyline. Really see a lot of Peter Parker stepping up to the plate, leading the Avengers, really taking Spider-Man seriously and fighting against multiple villains. It's really great to see the Sinister Six and Doc leading it. And I think like a storyline like this, like maybe they can't do this specifically because they don't want to use Doc Ock. But I would love to see them bring a group of villains together that have personal stakes against Peter. Like, kind of really, like, in this next trilogy, I want to see them build up a rogues gallery for Peter Parker that they can tap into, like in the third movie or something like that. You can see multiple villains show up in a Sinister Six or just some sort of scattered group of them,
Yeah, exactly. That would be really cool. Maybe like they start off like as individual villains, then like Doc Ock or even Kingpin shows up and goes, if we united against him, because there's only one of him.
Yeah.
We could rule this place, this town.
I mean, that could really work. I think that, Peter works really well when he's put up against impossible odds. So seeing that escalate, seeing like Peter versus multiple villains, and he's mostly on his own, I would really love that, because it was really great to see Peter versus the previous villains in No Way Home. Seeing him up against everyone was really great, and I think it could really work if he gets his own rogues gallery for himself and just battle against them. I think that'd be fun.
I also think, for the love of God, Marvel, can we get some small scale Spider-Man stories now? Because we had multiverse, we had the Mysterio takes over all Stark's drones and is going to destroy everything.
Yeah,
and it's like, please give us a smaller street level thing, and you can still do it with everything we said. It's just, please don't threaten the multiverse.
Yeah,
it's getting really old.
Yeah, like let's not do the multiverse. We can bring back Andrew and Toby for Secret Wars maybe, or something like that. But let's focus in on like small scale. And I think something we have to touch on is the Spider-Man PS4 PC game, how that was a masterpiece, and we can maybe talk about that.
Love it.
That a little bit, how that really captured the small scale city war. Peter versus like Kingpin and other villains, like on a small scale, and really facing against the Sinister Six. Like I haven't played the game myself. I've just watched clips of it. But Jared, you've watched and played that. Like, how did you like it? How could you see something like that thematically appear in a trilogy?
Really, what that game shows you is that, okay, you can tell a large scale story. That's fine because it's New York City, but you can tell it in a small, self-contained area. The Avengers exist in that world because you can swing by Avengers Tower and then he'll go, I wonder where the Avengers are. I think they're on the other coast. So you could still have like references to everything that happened, but you can tell a small, self-contained in the city story. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you need for Spider-Man. Because when you think about it, most of his movies, except for the MCU movies, have been small, okay, against one guy, maybe in the city. That's it. That's all you need. And with the game, you can bring in like all these different characters, because what the game showed is that you can have short, brief cameos from all of these different characters. Like you could have like the first scene of his next movie, Shocker's robbing a bank, and he's in the Shocker suit. Spider-Man shows up and webs him up, and that's it. Just show that these villains exist in the universe.
Yes.
Because that's what the game does really well, that you have these short moments with like Rhino, actual Rhino, and not Russian dude in a suit Rhino.
Yeah.
Then you could have like Shocker, you could have Mr. Negative. All these different like Spider-Man villains can have small cameos. That way they're not like taking away from like the main antagonist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would really love to see that, them explore that a little bit more, maybe like Chameleon or is Toymaker? Am I thinking of a DC?
That's DC.
There's DC. Okay,
he's a Superman villain, believe it or not.
Yeah, there's a character like that. Tinkerer.
Tinkerer, yeah.
Tinkerer. That's a fun character that I could really see them kind of like bring in some of these other characters. You could really make them higher profile. Like they're around, and obviously you have like a main villain, but grow a rogues gallery, because I would really love to see that. I think that's something that Spider-Man 3 was really cool. Like obviously it was a little too jam-packed because they try to do too many storylines at once, and of course, yes, the dancing. But if they had like already previously introduced Sandman or Venom, it would have been a little bit easier to do some of that storylines, like having Venom and New Goblin, Hobgoblin, whatever, and Sandman in that. It felt really cool. But obviously, it was just they were all fighting for attention from each other, and they were all separate. So if you wanted to do it, you would have to have a central villain and some minor ones, or make it villains in like a group, like we saw in No Way Home, where they were kind of united. There were too many separate storylines, perhaps, in Spider-Man 3 for it to be cohesive there.
Yeah, way too, because here's the thing. You could have had like Venom be the one villain or Sandman be the one villain in that movie. You didn't need all of this, because here's the thing, you're trying to cram all of these things in one movie. It's not going to work. I can tell you they were right there. It's not going to work. And the problem with those movies is that they killed off Spider-Man's most famous villains, like Doc Ock and Green Goblin. So I'm like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, man, I would so badly want a superior Spider-Man storyline, but I don't think, the thing is, like, it
what if?
On what if could do? What if that's actually a really good idea. They could do it for what if. I just, in terms of like the movies, I don't know if it'd be possible to adapt it, because one, you would need an established Doc Ock. We don't have that right now. And then second, does it work to have, basically you would need Tom Holland acting as if he was a villain character the whole time. And I don't know if it would work as well for like a movie, you know, as opposed to like a comic book. In this TV show also, it works really well, but could it work as a movie? I don't know. Like, it'd be tough. Like, I would love to see it though.
You can have a sort of version of it, like they'll make Doc Ock like college age, and then he'll be impersonating Spider-Man and calling himself the superior Spider-Man. That's the MCU way of doing things. They take good concepts from the comics and then destroy them. Refer to She-Hulk. But that's honestly a good idea. I agree with you. I wish that they could do that, but the thing is that would require, first, Doc Ock to exist in this universe, and second off, what they could do is make Doc, and this is another MCU thing that they would do. They could make Doc Ock just an AI, and then he takes over Peter's suit.
That's a possibility. I could see that.
Maybe. Again, that's a stupid idea, but it's Marvel and it's the MCU, and they're always taking like good concepts from the comics and kind of twisting them and making them seem a little corny.
I actually really like that idea you mentioned, where instead of like taking over his brain, and obviously the trouble of having Tom Holland play a villain character, but then it's like, you know, does it really feel like, you know, Doc Ock in there? But having someone pretend to be like a storyline where someone's masquerading as Spider-Man and committing crimes. Like if they adapted the storyline where Spider-Man gets framed for murder and then he has to take on other aliases and kind of go undercover, like as Dusk and Prodigy and there was one other one, but like I'll look it up real quick, but that was a really good storyline.
That would be a good idea. I mean, they kind of did the murder thing. I mean, that was like the first like 10 minutes of No Way Home, but yeah, a movie of that would work really well.
Yes, it's called the Identity Crisis storyline.
Okay.
And it's he's basically framed for murder by someone, has like a $5 million bounty on his head. And so Spider-Man has to basically form like multiple different secret identities to try to go.
So he has to become Moon Knight.
What was it?
So he has to become Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah, basically. And he has to kind of like, he has to kind of like clear his own name. That could be a really fun storyline. I mean, to see him do something like that, like a villain masquerading as Spider-Man, and instead of making Spider-Man like take on different superhero outfits, like he would just have like a variation of it, you know, kind of like he
has the Fantastic Four with the bag on his head.
Bombastic Bag Man, or you could do like you know, like a dark black suit, like kind of like Night Monkey, bring back Night Monkey suit, or that could really work. I could see like him like a villain, maybe like Chameleon. You could do it as Chameleon, but like maybe a college age Chameleon. And he's just gonna frame Peter Parker for crimes, may not murder, maybe it's not like that extreme, because obviously they did that with Mysterio. So you don't want to do something where like everyone hates him, but do something where like he's not as popular anymore. So like he has to be undercover when he's doing things, right? So you don't want to go, because Mysterio already kind of did that a little bit. So something where like making him look bad and untrustworthy, right? But not full on just, you know.
I agree with you. That's a good place to leave it, because we can actually continue this on a live stream too. So again, the point is that what I will say, I'm cautiously optimistic about the Spider-Man like future because there's any number of potential things that they could do.
Yep.
And I just wish, just keep it small. We don't, by small, I mean limited to New York. Don't put them in Europe because we know what happens in that case. And please do not do another multiverse storyline because you don't need it.
Yep.
Because really, we haven't really had a small scale Spider-Man story since Homecoming.
Yeah, that was the last time, I think.
And honestly, the best part of a Homecoming is him running across the golf course because there's nothing from the web onto.
Yeah,
he's running.
I did think that was good.
It's different from in the game where you can pretty much swing through that. Yeah. It's like, I'm like, oh, this is unrealistic at all.
Dude, yeah.
He's not getting help from Uncle Ben in heaven.
Yep. I think there's a lot of really good possibilities for the future. I think, Marvel and Sony know what they're doing. They're on a really good course now. I don't think it's going to be a mess up like, the previous two Spider-Man iterations were. So I think they're in safe hands. Whatever they do, it's going to be really fun, and we're going to be really excited and hyped for it. And we touched on the movies, Tom Holland. We touched on the animated series, but we didn't even get into the Into the Spider-Verse animated films, and that'll be a whole other conversation for another day. But the first one was amazing, and the future looks so great for those. I don't think we even need to be concerned whatsoever. That'll be
the first one was so good. It redeemed Miles Morales as a character.
Yeah, it made him everyone knows who Miles is, and actually a lot of people want Miles to take over as the new Spider-Man eventually. So
yeah, the problem with Marvel is that they stuck him in the main universe, still called him Spider-Man, and didn't make him unique to Peter. Besides the fact that he can cloak and has the Venom Blast, that's it. He doesn't have his own unique villains. He just gets to recycle other people's villains.
Yeah, we need to give Miles some new villains and stuff like that.
He did have a funny role in Gwenpool where she's killing people, and he's like, "Stop it!" He webs her to a tree. He's like, "Okay, stay here."
Yeah.
So good. Dude. That's a character that they could actually make a decent animated show on, is Gwenpool.
Yeah, that could be a Harley Quinn series.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I could see that. But.
So again, we finally got Lad back on the show after what feels like a year. It pretty much was a year, I think.
It's been a while.
So hopefully we'll have him back on many more projects as these semester cools down.
Yes,
because I remember those days. Oh, geez. So
there.
Stay heroic, everyone. We will see you in the next one, and comment below what you think about the rumors concerning the college trilogy, the freshman year animated series, and any other Spider-Man theories you have. Tevia, if you're watching this, I know you're going to bring in Mayday Parker, that you really want to see Mayday Parker live action. That's not going to happen because guess what? Marvel hates Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson being together. So stay heroic, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.